Hello, everybody. This is Empowering Democracy. I'm your host, Joe Firestone, and the topic for this stream is Dumping the Corruption Needs a Free Press. And this topic is about, of course, the Julian Assange case, which is coming once again to a crisis point. Okay, we'll begin by reviewing this piece from Common Dreams. There's a picture of Stella Assange. Supporters of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, including his wife Stella, march in central London on February 21st, 2024. Supporters rally behind Assange as UK court hears, quote, pathetic, unquote, US case. Quote again, let me be very clear. This case is about journalism, unquote, said a campaigner with Reporters Without Borders. Quote, it is about press freedom. If they make an exception of Julian Assange, the rule will be broken, unquote. This is by Jake Johnson, February 21st, 2024. Supporters of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange marched the streets of central London on Wednesday, demanding his immediate release after U.S. government lawyers argued to the British High Court that the journalist should be extradited across the Atlantic to face espionage charges. Quote, how pathetic the U.S. case is, unquote, Stella Assange, the WikiLeaks founder's wife, told the crowd gathered outside Wednesday's court hearing, which represents the final legal avenue in the United Kingdom to prevent his extradition to the United States. Quote, what they're trying to argue is that state secrets trump revealing state crimes, unquote. Stella Assange said of U.S. lawyers, quote, this is the balance they're trying to shift. They want impunity. They don't want to be scrutinized. And journalism stands, in the way. She also might have said, they want two systems of law. They want one system for the deep state where they have impunity for law breaking, and another system for the rest of us where we don't. Let's listen to this for a while.
How pathetic the U.S. case is. They have to rely on lies.
Oh, this is going to be too much buffering, so we're going to have to skip it. Okay, a decision in the case, which will decide whether Julian Assange can appeal his extradition, could be weeks or even months away. The British High Court rules Assange can't appeal. His legal team is expected to ask the European Court of Human Rights to halt his extradition to the United States, where Assange faces 17 counts of violating the Espionage Act and a possible 175-year sentence. United Nations experts, international human rights, and even one British judge have argued that extradition to the U.S. would put the 52-year-old publisher's life at grave risk. Julian Assange was unable to attend this week's hearings or even follow them virtually due to his poor health, his lawyer said. But global calls from press freedom groups, the government of Assange's home country, that's Australia, for those who don't know, and others for the U.S. Justice Department to drop the case and let the publisher go free, have not moved the Biden administration, which decided to continue pursuing Assange's extradition after inheriting the case from the Trump administration, whose CIA reportedly considered kidnapping or assassinating the WikiLeaks founder. During Wednesday's hearing, the U.S. government's lawyers argued that Assange's decision to seek out and publish classified U.S. documents, some of which exposed American war crimes, went, quote, far beyond, unquote, what could be characterized as journalistic conduct, an argument that many journalists have rejected. Quote, it is impossible to overstate the dangerous precedent Mr. Assange's indictment under the Espionage Act and possible extradition sets. Every national security journalist who reports on classified information now faces possible Espionage Act charges, unquote. Laura Poitras, the journalist and documentary filmmaker, wrote in a New York Times op-ed in 2020. Quote again, it paves the way for the United States government to indict other international journalists and publishers, and it normalizes other countries' prosecution of journalists from the United States as spies, unquote. Assange's lawyer, Edward Fitzgerald, similarly argued during the first day of the closely watched hearings on Tuesday that Julian Assange is, quote, being prosecuted for engaging in the ordinary journalistic practice of obtaining and publishing classified information that is both true and of obvious and important public interest, unquote. Rebecca Vincent, director of campaigns at Reporters Without Borders, said, following Wednesday's hearing, that in these past 2 days we have heard nothing new from the U.S. government. We have heard them double down on the same arguments that they've been making for 13 years, said Vincent. Let me be very clear. That's a quote. Let me be very clear. This case is about journalism. It is about press freedom. If they make an exception of Julian Assange, the rule will be broken, and no one, no journalist, no publisher, no journalistic source, no media organization can ever be confident that their rights will be respected again, unquote. So that's it. That expresses the importance of the case. Okay, we note again, Julian Assange is an Australian publisher, and yet the U.S. government feels it has the right to indict him under the Espionage Act, when all he has done is to publish the so-called secrets. That's what media sources do every day. So far, the U.S. hasn't been able to make the case. Then that he went, quote, far beyond what could be characterized as journalistic conduct. That is the weakness, okay, of the government's case. They have never proved that he did anything to help his source, Chelsea Manning, to obtain the secrets that Chelsea gave him and the secrets that, as a publisher, he had a perfect right, okay, to publish. Okay. Especially since the Espionage Act, okay, is a domestic law. He wasn't even a U.S. publisher. If the U.S. is able to convict him for this and to prosecute him under the Espionage Act, that no publisher around the world will be safe from the long arm of the United States. It doesn't matter what freedoms their own states give them. They would still be subject to the Espionage Act. Of course, then this wouldn't be uniform across the whole world. What would happen is that in allied countries, the rights of publishers would be violated. In allied countries, just ask yourself, if Australia was not closely allied with the United States, wouldn't it long ago have objected to what it calls the prosecution of one of its citizens and taken retaliatory action against the United States by prosecuting one of our citizens? That only hasn't happened because Australia is an ally. We don't have a right to prosecute the citizens of other countries for laws we think that they have violated when they're not inside of the boundaries of the United States. Nor did they acquire the secrets while in the boundaries of the United States. Julian Assange wasn't here when he acquired those secrets. He wasn't here when he published those secrets. He was somewhere else. One of the most important things that was said about this case was said by Stella Assange. What they're trying to argue is that state secrets trump revealing state crimes. This is the balance they're trying to shift. They want impunity. They don't want to be scrutinized, and journalism stands, in the way. But more generally, any whistleblowers who make public secrets that involve the government committing crimes will be vulnerable if Julian Assange should lose this particular case. We have to decide as a people, is whether we want it to be a defense that the secrets that were revealed involved crimes that were committed by the government agencies involved. If we want to be a democracy, And I don't think we're one now. But if we want to be a democracy in the future, we want to empower democracy here in the United States, we need whistleblowers inside or outside of the country. By the way, press or not press. We need to have it as a defense in violations of the Espionage Act or violations of other secrecy acts that I, as a whistleblower, I revealed that they committed crimes. And revealing that they committed crimes cannot itself be a crime. We have to establish that standard, and we have to stick to that standard. And we also have to stick to the standard that publishers cannot be prosecuted for secrets that they acquired from sources if they publish those particular secrets. So that's my take on this. I'm going to see if you have any comments. Andy Candy says, hiya, Joe. Got my pudding pies, but I'm listening. Steve Wolfbrand says, hello, everybody. And Steve says, love Claire. Claire? You mean Claire Daly? Steve Wolfbrand said, he's not even American. No. Seems U.S. ought to shut the hell up right now since the butcher president is under the ICJI himself for war crimes. Exactly what Julian exposed. Absolutely, Andy. Seems as though the U.S. ought to shut the hell up anyway. Andy says, hey, Wolfie. Andy says, I hope Chelsea is all right. Hi, Andy, says Steve. And Andy says, Australia kisses U.S. too much. Yep, I think so too. And Steve, I shared this to Facebook. Thank you, Steve. I think I'm going to share it to Facebook right now also. And give you an opportunity to ask a couple more questions before I leave. So the verdict is in or not yet? I don't think it's in yet. At least I haven't heard about it. I hope the hell it's not in yet. Of course, they have other moves to make still. But I hope the verdict on Assange is not in quite yet. I thought they were still deliberating. Steve says English courts are weird from a U.S. point of view. Yes, they are. And that there are a lot of things in common, principles of common law, of course, as well, as other things. Okay, I'm going to end this stream now. I'm coming back at 8:30 with another stream, on Julian, this time involving work by Chris Hedges. So I think that should be extremely interesting. I'm going to end the stream right now.